Live from the Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas, it's theCUBE, covering VMworld 2016. Brought to you by VMware and its ecosystem sponsors. Now here's your host, Stu Miniman.
Welcome back to theCUBE. I'm Stu Miniman with Wikibon, here with John Troyer, my guest host, who's also the CEO of Tech Reckoning. Welcoming back to the program, Jim Ganthier, who's the Vice President and General Manager of the Engineered Systems Group at Dell, and welcoming back to the program for the first time here at VMworld this year, Yanbing Li, who's the SVP and General Manager of the Storage and Availability Group at VMware. Yanbing, thanks so much. I know you're running around this show literally to go from meeting to meeting.
In high heels.
In high heels, of course. It's part of her Twitter handle. We would expect nothing less. Give us the update as to kind of the presence of your group here and any announcements you can share.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stu, for having us here. What we're experiencing is absolutely the momentum around vSAN. So we're going to talk about that during my keynote tomorrow, but even just on the floor, I was in the hands-on lab. There is a queue around the vSAN lab. I was at the Meet the Expert. There is a queue there. So certainly sensing this great momentum and customer interest around HCI in general, but specifically, the vSAN-powered HCI solution. So very excited about that. And the other aspect is, VMware is always about innovation. So how we continue to push the envelope. Pat outlined our vision around the cross-cloud architecture. And certainly, what is going to be the role storage play in our cross-cloud architecture? That's also going to be part of the theme for this conference.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually did a preview video for VMworld, and we were joking that in the cloud space they're talking about serverless, and
right.
when we talk about storage, it's like we've been talking invisible and everything like that. Maybe we should call it the storageless movement. So storage, of course, critical component, but in many ways it's held back where I can do changing it, managing it, and everything like that. Jim, maybe I'll start with you. How do you see the impact of these new solutions, new packages on how important storage is and kind of the changing role in IT?
Highly. Well, first of all, before I start, how about a congratulations on vSAN? We were looking at our joint business reviews, and let's just say that Yanbing and I are smiling in terms of how customers are accepting. But to answer your points distinctly on storage, hugely important, because when we think about a true converged infrastructure or converged platform, it's got to have server, storage, and networking. The fascinating thing, though, is that storage is no longer traditional storage. It's storage that's actually sitting on the head node of a server. And so what our teams have been doing in partnership together is figuring out how can I treat that as not only a unified whole, but do it in a way that's not only defined, and as you heard Pat talk about this morning, how can I do that with a management and orchestration layer that lets me quickly stand it up, and then if I need to reconfigure, or in some cases, send it to the cloud, which all of those assets are based on our vSAN-ready products, the net is I can do that quickly, seamlessly, and I don't require an army of admins to do it.
Stu, to add to your storage list point, you think about hyper-convergence, it's almost like, replacing previously storage, with software-defined storage. So I do think that's an important step towards storage list. But what's more importantly is to really make it zero touch as much as possible from a management, ease of use, intelligence point of view. And this is definitely an area that we're innovating not only to build the best, most robust data path, give you the best performance, cost, efficiency, and everything, and really to make management as painless as possible. So I think that gets you one step closer to storage list. And the next step of the evolution is how we take the view from storage being the data persistence layer to the data management layer. I think that's especially going to be more important for the cross-cloud era, because cross-cloud, you don't want to think about your storage that's deep under here. You want to think about how your data application workload is moving and being managed, being connected, being secured in this cross-cloud era. So, to me, that's yet another step further to get into what do you describe as storageless.
Yeah, so when I think back to some of the early vSAN customers, it wasn't a traditional storage buyer. It was usually it was a different buyer, a different admin, different use cases. Kind of fast forward, you've got over 5,000 customers according to the last public stuff that you say. Where are we today kind of vis-a-vis kind of traditional storage buyers and the applications and deployments that they're doing?
Yeah, so vSAN, certainly we started small, with some of the more fringy workload, but we're definitely prime in the data center today. In a recent customer survey we've done, 64% of the 250 respondents told us they're using it for business critical application. So business critical application is now by far the #1 use case for us. And the way I look at it, if you have a workload that's virtualized running on vSphere, vSAN is going to be an ideal candidate for your storage need. And we're starting to see that happen. But obviously, 5,000, we're extremely proud of where we are. Think about the 500,000 customers we have, represented here. It's even more amazing, the opportunity that we have ahead of us.
And by the way, if we look at both of our joint businesses, because obviously our teams are doing a lot around customer wins and testimonials, we're seeing a lot of success in financial services. We're seeing a lot of success in the manufacturing area. We're even starting to see some success in what I'll refer to it as civilian public sector. So again, the whole concept of how do I make it easy? How do I make it simple? How do I make sure that people who need access to the data and I want to be able to reconfigure it, that's what our two teams are able to put in place, and frankly, why we've been successful so far, with more to come.
So one of the higher level conversations that I know Pat had this morning is in this digitization, you talk about modern applications and kind of re-platforming.
Absolutely.
How does the whole hyperconverged fit into this? Most of the deployments I looked at, it was kind of vSphere in a SAN environment, and now I just have kind of different packaging model. What about modern applications? How do they fit into something like that?
Great questions to do. I think that will set up very well for tomorrow. Kit Colbert is going to come on stage to talk about our enterprise container strategy. Because we're seeing containers are here to stay, and they're trying to become widely adopted in enterprise. So how do you provide that enterprise level capability associated with the next generation applications? And certainly from a storage point of view, we're very well aligned with VMware's approach toward next generation applications. Take a look at vSphere integrated container. So this is what make containers seamlessly work on top of vSphere. And vSAN is already the default storage platform. Forward looking to vSAN, to the Photon platform. This is providing more native container support. And we are actually working on, and we'll be previewing our support for Photon, vSAN support for Photon, where you get all the goodness of vSAN, all the rich data services and capabilities without the dependency on vCenter. So we're definitely making this a huge priority from a hyperconverged infrastructure point of view, and I fundamentally believe we will have a role to play.
And by the way, to add to Yanbing's comment, when we look at this, it really is a continuum. So case in point, vSAN is at the core of some of these, but if you add some of the capability of vSphere, and then, case in point, how do I turn that into something that can quickly go deploy VMs, manage VMs, and in some cases take them back down? And then back to the whole Connect Cloud and then Cloud Foundations. You add vRealize and then public and private partnerships for clouds. That's how we get to this end state of a truly hybrid cloud and multi-cloud world. And if you come back and talk to us tomorrow, we're going to have a couple of announcements that make that real.
Absolutely.
Well, I love the term zero touch, and we are increasingly getting to this higher level of capability in IT, but still there's skills building need to be done. And what I loved about my time at VMware was all the investment that VMware puts into training of the ecosystem and enablement, from professional services and all the IP that they generate, and the reference architectures and the methodology and the certifications and the tech marketing, and I can go on and on and on. How much are you seeing the adoption in the ecosystem driven by the existing enablement of the existing IT admins? How are the customers finding it? Is it? It seems like it's a natural evolution of what we're already doing, but yet there's still offerings by the whole ecosystem.
Absolutely. Yeah, so John, clearly, your time at VMware shows, VMware's success is truly built upon our ecosystem. So from a virtual SAN point of view, we have two types of very, very important ecosystem. Certainly the ecosystem of hardware vendors. And we are very determined to become, and we are, the software-defined storage solution that's most widely supported by hardware vendors. We have 15 server vendors, and we're working with even more number of component vendors. So really, we want to make the solution available on every hardware platform. So that's one type of ecosystem. The other type of ecosystem is our vast channel. As you said, so even though vSAN is ridiculously simple being part of vSphere, there's still going to be knowledge and training and go-to-market. We won't be able to scale without the ecosystem partners. And today, we have 900 channel partners already transacting vSAN. And certainly, looking at Jim and our up-and-coming merger and acquisition, I'm excited that we will also be able to leverage the vast channel that Dell is able to bring.
And systems integrators.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so clearly, fully leveraging ecosystem is absolutely our priority.
All right, well, Yanbing and Jim, thank you so much. We actually put out some new research on the Wikibon site about where hyperconverged is in the marketplace. VMware is very well positioned. Dell has many, plays in the top leadership positions. And good luck with the rest of the week. And thank you so much for watching theCUBE.
Our pleasure, and look for our announcements tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you, Stu. Thank you,
Thanks.
John.